The Golden State Warriors, as well as Kevin Durant, received some bad news recently as KD suffered an MCL sprain, which is going to leave him out for 4 weeks, definitely, and then it's going to be reevaluated after the fact. And I think the Warriors are going to be tested a little bit over the next month or so, given, one, they're going from Kevin Durant to Matt Barnes at the small forward position. Two, Steph Curry has been not as good this season. Number three, the San Antonio Spurs are not too far away from the Warriors at the moment, only about 3.5 games out. And falling out of the 1 seed and into number 2 to potentially deal with the Houston Rockets in round 2, and if Kevin Durant's injury does not recover as quickly as we would like, that could be a very interesting series and a challenge for the Warriors, as well as some other teams in the West that I believe could give them some trouble, especially with Kevin Durant out or not as effective. So let's talk about it. First things first, I think Matt Barnes would be taking over the starting small forward position. You could give it to Andre Iguodala, but he's been awesome off the bench for them for quite a few years now, so I would see the rationale in keeping him as your 6th man. Matt Barnes has been a nice defensive player as well as a tough guy in his career. I do not think he has the offensive, well, he definitely doesn't have that. But I don't think he has the defensive capabilities of Kevin Durant either. He does not have the size, and maybe at his absolute peak, he could be a guy for the Warriors who could switch multiple times within a possession and be able to really fit into what they do defensively. But I think given that he's a bit older now, I do think he's going to have some trouble when it comes to just hanging around NBA offenses, specifically very good NBA offenses that the Warriors are going to have to deal with, especially in the postseason. I don't think he's awful, but I do think it's definitely a drop-off there. And then offensively, I mean, you're going from one of the best players in the league to a guy who can hopefully just knock down his open threes, because teams are going to be helping off of Matt Barnes. Because when you have Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Klay Thompson, and you need someone to help off of, and it's going to be Matt Barnes. So the big question there is, like, can he just do enough offensively and defensively for them? I mean, he's even a downgrade from Harrison Barnes of 2 years ago outside of the couple of games he had in the finals where he couldn't hit a shot to save his life. So that's the first question. Matt Barnes. Will the Warriors feel the effect of going from a superstar to a role player? We're going to have to wait and see. The next question is with Steph Curry, because he has not been as good this year as last season. His efficiency has dropped off. He's shooting around 46% from the field and around 40% from 3, which is still damn good, of course. And he's had some bad games this season, and especially this month, where he'll go like 2 for 9 from 3 or 1 for 11 from 3. Now, of course, he still has his fantastic games as well, but Steph has shown a little more vulnerability this season as opposed to years in the past, and it could be because he's had to go to the NBA Finals for 2 straight seasons, and that takes a toll on your body. So while Steph has still been great, there has been a little bit of a drop-off for him, and now, given that they're losing a fantastic offensive player and a very good defensive one in Kevin Durant, I would say more responsibility has to go to Curry, because he's been able to enjoy some off-ball stuff a little bit more this season. He has 53% of his baskets assisted this season, as opposed to like 45% or so last year. And I think part of that is due to Kevin Durant, because KD has just had the ball in his hands a little more often because he's that good of a creator and a post-up player. So that allows Steph Curry to play off ball a little bit more. But now with Durant gone, you're giving the ball back to Curry, and of course he's a great player. I'm more than confident that he can carry an offense because he's done it in the past. But he will have some more ball handling duties, and we're just going to see if the fear of him dropping off a little bit as opposed to the last 2 seasons, perhaps it'll be amplified now that he has at least a little bigger of a responsibility, or he could just kill it for the Warriors and there's nothing to worry about. I think it's just going to be a matter of waiting and seeing. Curry has voiced his displeasure this season with the Warriors not having a more aggressive or simple style of offense late in games, specifically pick and roll style basketball. I think this is his opportunity to really say, give me the ball and let me do my thing and let me help everybody else out. But at the same time, there have been those moments when his off-ball shooting has been simply not as good this season, and if he has the ball in his hands more, we imagine that he is going to be doing a lot of pull-up shots and step backs and things that we know Steph Curry for, and if they're not going to be dropping because he's had these weird games where he just can't make a three-pointer, that actually could be a deterrent for the Warriors, or he could just be fantastic and it's not a problem at all. Now, I think the last thing we can talk about is the San Antonio Spurs are 3.5 games behind the Warriors at the moment, and if Curry is really a little worse this season and they feel the effects of going from Kevin Durant to Matt Barnes and San Antonio maintains their consistent self, they've been starting Dwayne Dedmon lately, and he is a better defensive player and more athletic than Pau Gasol, and Gasol has been fantastic as a scorer off the bench for them. Who the hell knows, man? Maybe San Antonio actually could catch him, and then you start to get into, well, now they're the 2 seed, and they'd have to deal with the Houston Rockets in round 2, and that could be scary because the Rockets would have the ability to just outscore the Warriors. If Houston can drop 120 points on you, I think they're in a game no matter what. And then if Kevin Durant is really not fully recovered from his injury by the time the playoffs begin, that could be a real problem, and that could be a fear if going up against a team like the Houston Rockets, where you're just going to need a lot of offensive firepower to match what they can do. Or hell, even if the Warriors maintain the 1 seed, but Kevin Durant is not able to get back to himself for the playoffs, as of right now, they would have the Utah Jazz, and Utah is right in the thick of things in a very good Western Conference, and they have not been healthy consistently all year. George Hill has played like 30 games. Derek Favors has been recovering all season. The 2 mainstays have been Rudy Gobert and Gordon Hayward, and they've still been very good. So if the Jazz could get healthy, and you're looking at a team that's really good from probably about 7 or 8 guys deep with a defensive anchor and Rudy Gobert, and then if Kevin Durant could still be hobbled, that could be scary for the Warriors. I also believe that the Los Angeles Clippers could give the Warriors some trouble if Kevin Durant is not back completely. I mean, it's tough. Durant's injury is about 4 weeks, and then he's going to be reevaluated. That's going to take us to about 2 weeks before the actual playoffs start. In a perfect world, he's ready to go for the postseason. He's looking good. He can fly around the floor, and he can put up 35 points like we all know Durant can do. But I think we learned something from his foot injury not too long ago, which is injuries suck, man, and sometimes they linger, and they just kind of stick around, and they don't get better as fast as you want them to, and now you got to go up against Rudy Gobert in the second round. It's going to be interesting. I think the Warriors have some unknowns to them that have been revealed with this Kevin Durant injury, and we're going to have to find out. Can they go from Durant to Matt Barnes and still be okay? Is Steph Curry really not as good as he has been in the past? And if Kevin Durant's injury is not fully recovered by the postseason, these are some really good Western Conference teams. They could be in for some battles.